Hi everyone, I'm Brian, and this is part 5 of my project review series where I'm going back and taking another look at all the projects I've made for my YouTube channel over the past year. So this will cover projects 21 through 25 and have a mix of things from a book Nook to some simple terrain to miniature figures and all kinds of stuff. So stick around and see what I have to say. Alright, I'm going to start this video off with some really simple terrain here. These are just some rocky outcroppings made from some cut pieces of XPS or pink XPS foam, just glued together, and I textured them with a ball of aluminum foil and then just dry brushed some gray paint and then some white paint over the top to pull out all the bumpy details here. So this was a really simple project, and this is something that I had started doing when I first started making like terrain pieces like back in 2018. So a lot of my practice pieces started out as foam like this. The specific reason why I made these pieces, I have a whole bunch of these foam terrain pieces already, but the reason why I made this specific kind of rocky set is because I saw a game supply company selling like pre-made plastic terrain pieces for very high prices. And the specific product I saw was being sold painted for $45 or unpainted for $35. And just looking at it, I'm like, well, that's not really a lot to it. It's from the description, it's a plastic piece or a 3-piece set. And just looked like just a little bit of paint had been applied to the outside. And these pieces are hollow, so there's not like a huge solid chunk of plastic. It's just hollow on the inside. And I thought, you know, I could make something like that for a lot cheaper. And I'm not, I'm not criticizing this company for the products they made. I mean, the product looked nice, but it's like, nah, you know, don't spend that much money on it when you can make something very similar for like not even a fraction of the price. It's a tiny, tiny bit of the price. So that's how I came up with this. And for this video, it got some views, not right away, like the first day or two didn't have a lot of views, but as time went on, the video I made for this set got more views. I mean, it certainly had a lot more views than my previous few videos. So I thought, okay, maybe my channel is rebounding and I'm getting views again on my videos, and just the unfortunate luck of having less views over the past few weeks was just temporary. Well, that didn't turn out to be the case. This is my tide pool project, and like a lot of my other projects, it started out as a plastic raft that I had painted. I put some of my terrain paste on it for like a base, and then these rocky outcroppings here are made from hot glue, but I squeezed it into a silicone mold of sort of like a coral reef. Kind of hard to tell because this piece is shiny. And to make the tide pool stuff, I put some little shells, some pieces of colorful string, and some leftover bits of cut up sponge in here. And then for the water in the middle, I had used some UV resin tinted with just a tiny bit of blue food coloring. And then to give everything this really shiny look, I sprayed it with an acrylic sealant. But the problem with that is I used the wrong sealant. So I didn't notice at first, but when I sprayed the sealant, it made the resin like really cloudy. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? I looked at it, and unfortunately, I don't know how I missed this, but I used a matte spray, so it dulled everything out. So I tried to fix it by spraying a gloss spray over everything, and it sort of worked, but the clearness of the UV resin never fully came back. So I just thought to myself, like, all right, well, I pretty much messed this up. And, you know, I like this piece a lot. The only thing I'd change if I tried to do it over, or if I had the forethought while I was making it, maybe remove this little flange right here. I mean, the only reason I made it like this is because the plastic raft I had was this shape, But I should have just cut off this part and just made it more circular, because it looks really weird how this is just sticking out and there's like nothing else here. But whatever. I mean, just something to think about for next time. And like the previous video with the foam pieces, I didn't get a lot of views right away, but over time, over like the next week, the video got more views. So I started noticing this pattern where as soon as I post the videos, hardly any views, or if any, and then after a few days, just 1 or 2 views, that sort of thing. My little Pasture project here was really low effort, and I like the concept of what I wanted to do, but I didn't like the execution of how I did it. So as usual, well, not as usual, there's a bunch of the flocking falling off. I need to do a better job of sealing these things. But started with a plastic raft, painted it. I just added some terrain flocking with a bunch of kitchen spices to give it some texture. I glued on some plastic farm animals, some pigs and cows. But the main feature of this piece is the little graboid model. And if you don't know what a graboid is, it's a large subterranean worm-like creature from the Tremors movie franchise. Pretty much terrorizes people, swallows them whole. So this sort of B-list horror movie franchise has been around since the 1990s, and I'm a really big fan of the series. I think they're really goofy movies, and they also have a short TV series. But yeah, so I saw these models online, and I decided to buy a copy. The person who made them didn't call them like graboids or tremors, I'm assuming for like copyright reasons. But I printed out a bunch of them, and this little one here is actually something called a dirt dragon, which is the larval form of a graboid. And if I remember correctly, the only time they were seen on screen in any of the movies was in the 4th Tremors movie, which was a prequel to the other 3. But anyway, so I put it on here, and like I said, I mean, I didn't really do a whole lot to the scenery because it looks really out of place. Because if I used like my texture paste and then put the flocking and bits on here, I think it would have looked a little more natural. But as it is, it's just flat with just some crap sprinkled on it. And yeah, I'm not fond of this piece. I might redo it someday and try to make it better, but yeah, I mean, it's just an excuse to use my little graboid models. So much like the first 2 videos, not a lot of views after this was posted, and then just a scattered amount over like the next week. So but this video didn't get as many views in total as the previous 2. So I mean, seeing this pattern of no views, a few views, and then once it sort of tapered out, each video was getting fewer and fewer total views. Okay, I'll try to get this in the shot as much as I can. This is my book Nook project, so it's just made from some black thin foam core that I had cut up into this rectangular box. And on the inside is a little diorama scene of what I made is a nighttime scene of like this canyon that had been soaked from a recent rain, and the dried like desert arid areas now starting to grow some new foliage. And there's like this little wooden platform outlook thing I made from cut little wood sticks, and these tiny trees are just tree supports from a 3D print. The ground is made from broken up pieces of corkboard that I painted, and just have some scenery flocking to fill in the gaps. And then I have this this little ladder I made also from these sticks, the same ones I used for the platform. And at the very top is a small tea candle light, and when I turn it on, it flickers like yellow and orange. It looks better in the dark, but I'm not going to get up and turn off my light or anything like that. So this project has a story behind it. This is a revision. So I'd actually started this project like the year before, and this was before I had a YouTube channel, but someone had seen one of the little dioramas I had made, and they had asked me, hey, can we hire you to lead a workshop to make book nooks? And I had heard of book nooks, but I had never made one for myself. And I told this to the program organizer, like, oh, that's okay. We're just gonna use really basic materials, and then you can just lead them through. It's just like a simple arts and crafts activity. And most of the participants were parents and young children. So I was like, all right, it should be fun for about an hour or so. And when all the details got, settled, I said, okay, I'll just show up and lead everybody. But then, like, a few days before the workshop, oh, excuse me, I was contacted by the program organizer, said, oh, we need your demo piece. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, just your example piece to show everybody and, like use it for advertisements and things. I'm like, well, you didn't say anything about needing a demo. I thought I'd just show up and walk everyone through this. Like, oh, no, we want to see what you plan on doing. But at the time, I was out of town and I'm like, when do you need it? And they're like, oh, we just need it in like a couple of days. I'm like, oh, shoot. So I was on a trip and I needed to make something to give to them. So fortunately, I'd be back in town by, the time they needed this. So I ended up going to like the nearest arts and crafts store, buying a bunch of supplies that I thought I would need, including the foam core, the cork board, the scenery flock. So fortunately, this store was well stocked and had almost everything I needed. And then I made that project in a hotel room. And then I gave it to the program organizers. They liked it. I led the workshop. It was a lot of fun. But the original piece I made, I really didn't like it so much because I had to make it at the last minute and with just scrounged art supplies. So like when I was on another trip or going on another trip out of town, I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I made a video about updating my Book Nook project, but this time bringing all the stuff I needed to make it how I wanted it. And yeah, so it worked out. And I was actually really surprised how much I could get done in just the hotel room. And the only thing about this I'd change if I updated it again was maybe add a little bit more to the background, because just this blue and purple looks a little plain. But otherwise, I like the rest of this piece. And when I published this video, at some point I got another subscriber. Oh, I'm sorry, have a little bit of a cough. And at that point I had 7 total subscribers. So just like the previous 3 videos, not a lot of views right away, and then just a few here and there like over the next week. This is my little plant spirit project. So I guess sort of a miniature here. And this time I just decided to try something new. Instead of having a planned like terrain or landscape piece, I just thought, what can I make with whatever is on my crafting table? So I had some pipe cleaners, some leftover straw wrappers, some 3D printed jars, and like some of these wood discs. So I decided to, to make the this little plant spirit and just glue everything together. I mean, I didn't seal this pretty well, so a lot of these leaves are falling off and things like that. But I had fun with this, and I liked the little creature that I had made. And the story behind it is like this plant spirit is like really vengeful because it died and because its owner didn't give it enough water, so it's coming back to seek its revenge. But yeah, I made this like, I don't remember exactly when, but sometime around Halloween or before Halloween, so that's kind of what the theme of this was, something spooky. And yeah, so this project and this video, as I keep repeating myself, not a lot of views when the video got posted, but then out of the previous 4 videos, this project got the least amount of views. And so all of these projects I talked about in this video, all 5 of them, they just had like declining views week after week. So I thought to myself, okay, well, I was maybe optimistic about my channel having a rebound and getting my views back up, but it looks like they're just sort of falling off again. So that was a little discouraging, to see that happen. Okay, that's all I have for this video. Yeah, so thanks for watching. And I'm not sure how many more videos are left in my project review series. I think at least 2 or 3 more, because I'm already reaching the point where I'm getting caught up with my projects. But yeah, the next set will have some interesting stories to go with them as well, about kind of how my channel is doing with the analytics and the viewership and things like that. But thanks for watching, and I have a link in the description for like a playlist of all the previous videos, so please check those out, or you're welcome to check out each individual video about these projects. So thanks so much again, and I'll see you next time.